Everyone dreams of success. Everyone wants to grow, to achieve, to change their life. But most people fail to realize one simple truth. Big success doesn't come from big actions. It comes from small, repeated efforts done every single day. Consistency. The word sounds simple, almost boring. But within it lies the power to transform ordinary people into extraordinary ones. There was once a boy named Ryan. He wasn't the smartest in his class. He wasn't the fastest runner nor the most confident speaker. In fact, most people never noticed him at all. He was average in almost everything except for one thing: the desire to be better. Every time he tried to improve, he started with energy, excitement, and hope. But after a few days, that spark faded. He would lose interest, skip a day, and soon stop completely. It became a cycle. Start strong, fade fast, stop early. One evening, after yet another failed attempt at keeping up with his goals, Ryan's father looked at him and said, "Son, success doesn't belong to those who start strong. It belongs to those who stay steady." The words were simple, but they struck deep. That night, Ryan couldn't sleep. He kept replaying those words in his mind. Stay steady. Maybe he didn't have to be perfect. Maybe he just needed to show up, even when it wasn't easy. The next morning, he decided to try again, but differently this time. No unrealistic plans, no giant leaps, just small, consistent steps. He woke up early to run, even though it was cold and dark. His body wanted to stay in bed. His mind whispered, "Just skip today." But he remembered his promise: never miss twice. So he ran. Not far, not fast, but he ran. And the next day, he did it again and again. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. At first, nothing seemed to change. His body still ached, his progress was slow, and no one noticed any difference. But deep inside, something was quietly shifting. He was becoming stronger, more focused, more disciplined. Consistency was shaping him from the inside out. Most people quit because they don't see results fast enough. They mistake slow progress for failure. But what they don't realize is that consistency works in silence. It doesn't show you progress every day. It builds it underneath the surface, preparing to surprise you when you least expect it. And that's exactly what happened to Ryan. One day during his usual morning run, he noticed he could run farther without stopping. His breathing felt smoother, his pace steadier. It wasn't magic, it was momentum, the quiet reward of consistency. He began applying that same principle everywhere, in his studies, his habits, his routines. Instead of studying for 5 hours once a week, he studied for 1 hour every day. Instead of waiting for motivation, he built discipline. Slowly, the results began to appear. His grades improved, his energy grew, and for the first time, he started to believe in himself. The boy who once doubted his potential began to realize that greatness isn't built overnight. It's built daily. His friends didn't understand. They laughed and said, "Why work so hard for so little?" But Ryan smiled, because he knew something they didn't. Small steps, repeated over time, create unshakable strength. He no longer chased perfection, he chased consistency. Even on his worst days, he refused to quit. If he failed once, he came back the next day stronger. That was his secret. Not perfection, but persistence. Years passed. The same boy who once struggled to focus was now unrecognizable. His confidence was different, quiet, grounded, real. People started to notice his achievements. Some called him lucky, others called him gifted. But only Ryan knew the truth. It wasn't luck, and it wasn't talent. It was consistency. The early mornings, the late nights, the quiet work when no one was watching. Those were the real reasons behind his success. Consistency became his superpower. It taught him that success isn't a single moment. It's a pattern, built slowly through time. It taught him patience when progress was invisible and strength when life became difficult. It taught him to trust the process, even when the results were nowhere to be seen. because every step, no matter how small, was bringing him closer to the person he was meant to become. One day, years later, Ryan stood at the starting line of a marathon. Around him were hundreds of runners, each ready to prove themselves. He felt a wave of nervousness, that same fear from long ago. But this time, he smiled. Because he knew he had already done the hardest part. He had shown up every day for years when no one else did. He didn't need to prove anything anymore. The race was no longer against others. It was against who he used to be. As he ran, his body ached and his legs burned, but his mind stayed calm. Every step reminded him of all the mornings he'd trained alone. Every mile carried the weight of every effort he had made in silence. When he